Good morning, everyone. Today I'm out here at the livestock barn, and I keep getting asked this question over and over, and when am I going to move all these concrete blocks that are out here? So all these busted up concrete blocks are originally like a small wall that was in here in the barn, and we busted that out during one of the barn cleanouts, and I piled it up outside and I ain't moved it since. So since then we've got the goats, and those goats, they come out here and they like to climb on it and everything, so it's kind of using it as an excuse not to get rid of it yet. Kind of hasn't been high on the priority list. So today, today I'm just going to go ahead and get this done. I'm going to go ahead and see if I can get these concrete blocks moved. Now they're all broken up, they got mortar and cement on them, so there's really not anything good to try to build out of those. But I think I can come up with a purpose for them, so I think I'm going to try to repurpose these concrete blocks so they're a little more useful. So I'll have to pull the tractor in here and see if we can get these all picked up. So in the meantime, the animals are still locked in the barn. I've kind of left them in there right now until I get this done. So I want to go ahead and get this done first and get so I can let the goats and the chickens back out. But then we actually have more concrete that needs picked up. So over here, there's a huge pile of these concrete slabs. A lot of times you don't see it because we had a bunch of weeds that was growing through it. And these are some big concrete slabs, some foundations, because right across the driveway here, right over here, there used to be a barn that we tore down, and it was already falling in anyway. The roof was falling in. It was in pretty bad shape. It was mostly an open style barn, and anyway, so this was some of the concrete. When we tore it down, it just kind of got piled over here. So maybe we can get that out of the way as well and kind of clean up this area, because when we want to go and repaint the barn and fix this barn up, we're going to need to be able to get to this area right here anyway, so it'll be good to get it all cleaned up. So let's go ahead and get the tractor out, see if we can start moving some concrete. So I brought the first bucket full of concrete block. I brought it over to this 18-inch culvert. Now this culvert actually drains that whole field that's back there. It drains about 6 acres of that field, drains through that culvert. So that actually, that's quite a bit of water that can go through that culvert right there, and there's a good washout right there. So we're gonna put those concrete blocks in there, kind of use it as riprap and prevent it from washing out. Now I know some people are going to say, well, why don't you just curl your bucket up so that it can hold more concrete? That's as high as that bucket will actually curl up. It actually doesn't cup upward. This is like a homemade hydraulic bucket. It used to be a trip bucket, and the previous owner had welded all these hydraulic cylinders on there, and it just isn't quite right to curl the bucket up. And then I always get questions on why the hood is not on the tractor. The simple answer is, in the wintertime, I took the hood off to keep a charger on the tractor, and I pretty much have never put it back. And this tractor runs on a generator instead of an alternator, so if it's like right now with it idled down right now, it's probably not actually charging the battery. So you have to keep the engine, I think, kind of revved to make sure it's charged. So I've just kind of gotten the habit of throwing the trickle charger on it every so often anyway, so that's why the hood's still off. So now I'm out here further in the pasture, and the culvert that we just were at was back there. That's where we were just putting the concrete, and you can see kind of the low spot here. You know, the water kind of flows down through here and kind of comes this way. And there's a lot of eroded areas through here, but we've got a really big, deep area right here that we need to fill. Let me show you. So the water comes through here, and then right about here it starts eroding again. And I don't know, you can kind of see there's kind of you can see kind of the hole where the erosion is. And then for some reason right here there's no erosion, and this is wide enough for us to drive a four-wheeler across. So that's our little crossing right there. And then the water flows over. It's almost like a waterfall, and this is just like a really deep hole right here. So as you look down here, I don't know if I can show the perspective of this, but that's like a 4-foot deep hole right there. And so that's really dug out, and that basically, you know, it basically goes over and it meets the overflow off my pond back there in the trees. But that will take quite a bit of concrete to fill. So we're gonna probably be able to fit the rest of the concrete down in this ditch basically right here. Now this other side, I'm not gonna mess with this other side because I plan on putting a culvert in. So I've got a longer culvert that I'm gonna just dig this up, put a culvert across here, and make a crossing that's big enough for a tractor or a vehicle, because right now it's just big enough for the four-wheeler. So the only thing we're gonna do is we're just gonna mess with this right-hand side over here, and that's gonna probably take all the concrete I can give it anyway. So go ahead and get this one filled up. So we've got all that broken concrete. It's now all picked up, and we've taken it to where we have washed out areas. So we're trying to use that like riprap, like the big rock that they put in ditches to prevent washout. So hopefully that stuff will slow the water down and slow down the erosion. Now, not all that concrete was what I put there. There's actually a small pile there. So when I started busting those blocks out of this barn, it just made sense to go ahead and pile it there because there was already broken blocks piled up there. Some had obviously been there for a while and it's sunken down in the ground, so I had to basically kind of dig some of them out. But it's all cleaned up now. All the animals are just been crying the whole time, wanting to get out. So let's go ahead and let the livestock out. Look different, doesn't it? Where'd your blocks go? We got nothing to climb on now. Actually, I think there's still another one in there. Well, I think all the animals actually I think they were a little bit leery of coming out of the barn. After hearing the tractor and all that noise, they didn't know what to expect. And I think when they like the goats, when they looked outside, I don't know if they freaked out a little bit, but they didn't see their little goat mountain anymore. It was gone, so everything looked different. So I think they were definitely cautious when they came out. But the goats do have a couple spools. They do have a couple wooden spools here that they can climb on and play on. So I think that this does pretty up. This will make the barnyard look a lot better. It was definitely something that I needed to get done. And I can move those spools around if needed, and I can definitely pull through here with a vehicle or tractor a lot better now. So now it's time to move on to these big chunks of concrete back here. So I'm not even sure if I can even move these things. I'm going to try to get the tractor to move these, but I put those there. I used a mini excavator when I tore this building down that was over here, and I put those over there with the mini excavator. And I'm not sure if I can even manhandle these, if I can get them in the bucket of the tractor. I think some are too big for the bucket of the tractor. I may see if I can break some of these and make them smaller. May have to put the forks on the tractor, try to lift them up with the forks. So I've got several different things I can try here, but if I can get these a little bit smaller, I can probably put those in the culvert or in the washouts as well. If I can't break them down, they're going to end up being big like that. We do have an area on the side of the property over here, which is kind of like a big concrete pile. I think every farm probably has an area where they lay down chunks of concrete, and we do have one off to the side. So if I can't get these broken up smaller to put in the washout, I'll just transport them over to the concrete pile and get them away from this barn so that it's not in our way, so when we want to get this thing painted. So let's go ahead, see if I can get these things moved. Well, now that the concrete's all picked up and gone, it just looks a lot better out here, doesn't it? This is one of those tasks that you just hate to do. You find any excuse not to do it. It's always on the bottom of your priority list. It is it's a back-breaking job. It's a lot of physical labor to get this stuff moved. It's a lot of time for such what seems like a little benefit. It just seems like such a small benefit to fill up a ditch or where something's washed out with some concrete. But in all reality, I mean, all this needed cleaned up. It needed to be gone, and at least we were able to repurpose it and use it somewhere and get some kind of use back out of it. So this concrete over here, I was really glad that I was able to actually get it broken into smaller pieces that I could handle and put in the bucket. They were small enough pieces, I was able to put those over in the washout and get use out of them. I didn't have to struggle putting forks onto the tractor and coming over here and picking up big chunks of concrete and then just hauling them off to the concrete pile where they just end up being useless over there in a pile. So at least we got some use out of them, so that's good. And just everything looked a lot better out here. So we do have some concrete blocks. You'll notice we have some concrete blocks back here. So those we've had there for a while. we've saved a bunch of concrete blocks around here that are in good shape so we can use them on future projects, and that's what that is. Um, Eventually, I'll probably find a new spot for them, but I think right now they'll be fine sitting there next to the barn. They're not a terrible eyesore. But overall, the barnyard looks really good. The chickens are having a great time. They're out here scratching up all that area where that concrete pile was. So overall, I'm happy that it's done. Put it off for a long time. So anyway, that's it, guys. Thanks for watching. I'll see you guys in the next video.